And I'm going to start recording. Whoever requested that, thank you very much, since I always forget. Um, so um, we want to make sure that you're keeping it updated, that you're putting your needs in the needs section, because we can filter our searches by urgent needs, and that's one of the links that we're going to be sending to donors is links to urgent needs. And we are going to be kind of auditing the site. So we're looking at your profiles, and if we see things that are outdated, like um, if we see that they're still giving Tuesday stuff up there in February, we're going to exclude those from the links that we're sharing out. So please be sure to keep your things updated. Another thing we're doing is, we have funds that we use for our discretionary grants, our mini grants, and we sometimes have funding that's not getting used because it's for specific causes. And so we do some proactive outreach, and we're going to be using this site as a tool for ourselves to go through and say, hey, who's doing what that fits with this funding that we have? So keeping your site updated throughout the year is going to really help you to make the most of it, because it's going to really boost that visibility piece of it. I think that was primarily what I wanted to touch on. The only other thing I was going to mention is we are also going to start doing some highlights, quarterly features. So we're going to pick just different topics that are kind of timely or appropriate for the season or things like that, and highlight those. And so we'll be featuring certain profiles that fall into different categories. You'll see that start to come up. There will be more on that later down the road, but we're going to start with quarter one. We'll be starting those features, so you'll see those coming up. And I think that's all I have. If Shelby, are you on the call? If you are, did I forget anything I was supposed to mention this morning?
No, Lauren, you're good.
Okay, thank you. All right. And Lily told me not to spend time introducing her because she doesn't want me to take up time on that. So,
We don't need to everybody knows who I am. Go to the
yeah.
website if you need to know my bio. I'm Lily. I know a lot of you. I feel like this is a family reunion. This is like so wonderful. Hey team. And I see some new faces as well. Thanks so much for joining. I will tell you, I've been on the ShoreGives 365 website quite a bit and getting to learn a little bit more about the amazing work that's happening on the Eastern Shore. So really excited to be spending time with you all. Thank you, Lauren, for all those updates. And we're going to be bringing some of those back before the end of our hour is up. So let's advance our slide. Welcome. First of all, check. We've done one thing. Great job. We're killing it. It's a small win. What I want to talk to you about today is primarily the ShoreGives 365 platform. That's really why we're here. No Hershey kisses for virtual training. I'm sorry. I'll blow you a virtual kiss. How about that? And this is exactly how I want you to use the chat, PS. So keep it coming. We're talking primarily about ShoreGives 365. However, there are some guests on this call that aren't necessarily part of that ShoreGives platform. So just know everything we're talking about today, best practices, digital outreach, applies to whether it's your own donate page, whether it's your email solicitations or anything like that. So I will share this slide deck with Lauren after. And Lauren, would you mind distributing this to everybody that attended?
I will absolutely do that.
Sweet, because I have some bonus slides after the Q&A that spell out a little bit more about monthly giving, annual giving, emails, kind of what's the best practices for that kind of stuff. So we're not going to cover that because we don't have time, but they are in the slide deck, okay? So here's what we're talking about. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's get right into it. Pop quiz. Put it in the chat. How long is the average person's attention span? Let's see. Those of you who have been in class, you better know this answer. 7 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds, 8 seconds. Okay, all right, we're getting 30. Nick, I love your optimism, man. 30 seconds. Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah. 15. Okay. Okay. This is really good vibes because some people are like 4 minutes, right? Whose attention span is 4 minutes? Nobody. Well, officially, data, there's a link. 8.25 seconds is the average person's attention span. And the average attention span of a goldfish is longer than that. Why am I grounding us in this conversation? Because first impressions matter. First impressions matter in person, and they especially matter digitally. All right. So let's talk about how do donors typically behave online in terms of nonprofit engagement, right? First of all, and by the way, as we're talking through this, think about your behavior and consumption as somebody who donates. I'm sure everybody on this call donates to other things that are not your organization that you're working for representing, right? So when you're going to those donate pages, what's working well for you and what's not? If it's working well, it's probably working well for most people, right? So we want to take those best practices and apply them. Donors skim, okay? They are not going to read a dissertation. They're not going to read 5 paragraphs. And a lot of folks, I call it, I mean, it's burying the lead, right? We do really important, impactful work. Everybody on this call does amazing work. And yet, you really don't start getting into how many people you serve or what you do until your second or third paragraph. You're missing an opportunity. Remember, you've got 8.25 seconds, maybe 10, right? If people are feeling good, to make that first impression. Emotion comes before logic when we're talking about online giving in particular, right? This is a snap decision for people. It's not like you're asking someone for a major gift and they say, oh, well, I need some time to go think about it, which is exactly right. They're making a go or no go decision based on what you're showing them. So we want to make sure that we're showing them the best, most important stuff that's going to capture the emotion of the work that we're doing, not really the clinical kind of sterilized version of what we do. Confusion kills donations. So one thing, and I have a couple of highlights of pages that I skimmed through and I was like, gosh, that's really good. And there are some opportunities, and they're not picking on anyone in particular, but if you're using your SureGives 365 page and you're listing every single program that you have, that doesn't tell me what the most important program for you is right now. So remember, when we're talking about our online presence, you don't need to tell everybody everything all at once. You just need to get them connected to the work that you're doing so that they learn more. All right. If you throw the kitchen sink at it, it's just not going to work. People get overwhelmed and they opt out. Most gifts are impulsive and most gifts are mobile. So the good news about the SureGives 365 page is that it looks pretty good online or on the phone. So great job. If you're looking to refine your own donate page, look at it both ways. You know, I deal with this with my website as well. My website, my company website on my desktop looks different than my company website on a mobile or a iPad. So make sure that you're optimizing that mobile experience. The majority of online gifts are going to come in through the phone. All right. If someone lands on that page and they don't get it within 10 seconds, they're probably not going to give it to you. That's just what the data shows us. All right. And again, I talk about this in class a lot. There are almost 2 million nonprofits in the United States, okay? We're not trying to get everybody to give to Habitat. We're not trying to get everybody to give to Dove Point. We're trying to look for alignment. We're trying to look for the people that care about the thing that we're doing. If that's not the thing that does it for them, that's okay, right? But we want them to be able to distill that right away. So that if they're a good fit, they're going to learn more. And if they're not a good fit, they're going to go find a good fit for them. All right. Your job is not to explain everything, especially on a landing page, right? You can't explain everything. You cannot possibly explain the depth of the work that you do. And if you try, it's going to be overwhelming. So you want to invite action. You want to say the right thing to the right person at the right time. By the way, we're going to have time for Q&A. But if you have a burning question that you want to pop in the chat that might be relevant to this particular slide, I'll try my best to get to it if it's relevant. But Lauren is keeping track of our chat. So if something comes top of mind that folks want to answer, we can talk about that in real time, okay? First things first, your header, right? When you go to the SureGives 365 main page and then people click on, there's all of those different buttons of is it environment, is it health, is it human services or whatever, and then they click. The first thing they're going to see is your logo, okay? If your logo is pixelated, you can fix that. Oftentimes, it's these things that we don't necessarily think about, but yet you've seen someone's logo that's super blurry and you're like, gosh, that would have been, you know, that's kind of weird. It shows that we really care about our brand and the work that we're doing to make sure that you have not a distorted logo. Don't stretch it out, right? You want to make sure that it's the right and accurate and also an up-to-date logo. Lots of organizations have new ones, they change. Or maybe if you're in a milestone anniversary, you have a little tagline, right? So make sure that you're using the up to date. And to Lauren's point, you want to be looking at this stuff on a quarterly, basis. So that's important. Someone asked, do the logos, does this apply to web stuff too? 100%. Yes. Everything we're talking about, right? You want to make sure that your logo is crisp and clear. Whoops. What's your organization's name and your clear mission statement? Again, burying the lead. Can't assume that everybody knows who you are. Okay. And you also can't assume that some of the jargon that we use. I was facilitating a board strategic retreat last night, and we were going through the organization's mission, vision, and goals. And someone said, we were wordsmithing one particular word, and it was a really good discussion. And they said, what about we put in there multidisciplinary? And I said, okay, well, everyone in this room knows what multidisciplinary means, but would somebody on the street understand what multidisciplinary needs in the context of arts? The answer is probably not. So we don't want to put that jargon in our leading stuff. You can certainly explain it later, but don't assume that people know what those acronyms are, what that jargon looks like. And just assume they don't know anything. Assume they don't know anything. Because even if they know about Habitat for Humanity, there's a couple of habitats on here. They might know about Habitat generally international, but they don't know how many people Washington County serves. They don't know how many people the Eastern Shore Habitat serves. So assume that they don't know anything, all right? And a couple of quick stats. And again, you're going to get this slide deck. So if you want to go down the rabbit hole and look at the sources, please do. 12% of nonprofit revenue, and that's a conservative estimate, by the way, comes from online giving. So that's a big deal. You want to make sure that we're optimizing that. And the other piece is, this is what's so great about the Shore Gives and any sort of giving platform. People share this with others. So I give to things that my friends share. Do you? I mean, haven't we all seen these things pop up on our Facebook or in our emails that, hey, this is really important and I'd love for you to take a look at this? Over a third of people say that they've given because they were asked or introduced by a friend or family member. So let's talk about your organization's description, okay? We've hit the header, we've hit the logos, we've hit kind of the high level stuff. Less is more. Again, we don't want a chapter book. We do not want a chapter book. You don't want it on your donate page. You don't want it on your Shore Gives page. You don't want it anywhere. 2 to 3 paragraphs, okay, max. And people are going to say, oh, paragraphs could be really long. You know what I mean. Don't cause trouble, okay? Name the problem. Every organization that's a nonprofit exists to solve a problem or to meet a need, okay? That's just how we define it. What is the problem and how are you solving that problem? And also, what can the person reading your page do about it? What's that call to action? Sometimes we forget to say, join us, or make a gift now, or help us with the emergency fund because our HVAC just went out, right? We forget to bookend what we're talking about with the call to action. Again, reiterating, do not throw the kitchen sink on that page. There are a couple of organizations that really do that, and there are some that show me almost nothing, where they just have one sentence. Well, one sentence doesn't actually tell me about the work that you do. So you really want to get that Goldilocks, kind of that sweet spot. Here's an organization that did a great job. I don't even know if they're on here, but the Humane Society. And I'm not just picking the Humane Society because I love my dog, but maybe a little bit. But take a look at this, right? The Humane Society of Wicomico County is more than a shelter. We're a safe haven and a second chance for animals in need. Do you feel the emotion right away? Remember, we want to hook people in with that emotion, right? Second chance. It's a safe haven. It's a home. Every day we work to rescue, provide compassionate care, and connect them with families. So that immediately told me, this is what we do. This is how we solve this problem, right? And then they explain a little bit more, which is totally fine, because look at how much text is here. It's not that much text, right? There are some where the text just keeps going and I couldn't even get it in a screenshot. It's too much text, okay? We are able to offer food and shelter, medical treatment, enrichment, and the love every animal deserves. Each donation, no matter the size, helps transform lives, right? They're getting that emotional connection to the animals, okay? And also they sort of tease out, hey, we're building a new facility, which gives people a sneak peek into a large capital campaign, which is a fantastic thing. Okay. So they did a really, really nice job here. They tell me immediately, here's what we're doing. Every donation is valuable, which is really important because sometimes someone comes on the Short Gives page and they're like, I have $10 to give. That is no more or less important than somebody who wants to give you $1,000. In fact, I always say some of the most impactful gifts when I worked for organizations before I started my own firm, some of the most impactful gifts came from seniors that were on a fixed income, right? Because their $25 that they're giving you is a really important $25 to them, but they've decided that you're worthy enough to receive that gift. So every gift is important, okay? Let's talk about images, visual storytelling. How do we take our description and translate that into, don't just take our word for it, look at what we're doing. Here's what works. Human-centered pictures beat 5 generic ones every time. And the number one counter or question I get about this is, Lili, we work with a sensitive population. We work with unhoused folks. We work with folks with mental illness. We work with et cetera, and we don't want to show their face and put them front and center. Totally get it. Totally appreciate that. Lots of ways to convey that without showing somebody's face. The one thing I will say is, don't assume that everybody you serve doesn't want to share their testimony. Okay, this is something really important too. If your organization has helped somebody get out of homelessness, that's an incredible story that someone might want to tell. Someone might want to advocate for you, right? Now, we always want to make sure that we have our photo consents and we have all of that stuff locked in, but don't just go, okay, blanket statement. No, we're not going to put any human faces here because of the subject matter. Just don't make that assumption, okay? But in the meantime, there's lots of different ways that we can, and I'm going to show you some real life examples of one of my clients. Faces work better than buildings and logos because people give to people, right? What's the first thing we talked about? Emotion over logic, emotion. Action photos outperform pose photos. If I see one more stock photo, I'm going to lose it, right? Pairing an image with a caption is super, super powerful. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to the gallery on the Shore Gives page, but pretty much every website platform that you have, you can insert some text underneath something, give people context, just a sentence, right? And I'm going to give you an example of that too. And people really love behind the scenes stuff. The things that you do every single day that seem super boring, right? Like, wouldn't it be so fun if Girl Scouts did a little behind the scenes video of its staff asking what their favorite Girl Scout cookies were? I'm just thinking about it in real time, right? Perfect segue to, by the way, hit up your local troop because the deadline's coming. That's the kind of behind the scenes stuff. You get to know the people behind the mission and you're tying it directly back to your work. It really works well. What do we not want to do? Don't put up stock photos. Take your own. Don't put this guy on there. Everybody knows who this guy is, right? And really long image galleries. Look, CFES has a great gallery option on your page that you can share photos. Don't share 30 photos. You don't need to share 30 photos, right? Yeah, right, this guy. Share your best 5 to 7. You don't need more than that. You really don't. Share the best photos that convey the impact of the work that you're doing. So let's start with a really easy one. I'm going to show you 2 pictures, and I want you to pick up on anything that you feel. Which photo is more effective? Which one gets your emotions more? And if you get this answer wrong, kicking you out. All right. Stock photo, black lab. Cute, right? Love it. They're both dogs in grass, right? Which one feels better? Which one had the emotion? Thank you, Kelly. Love you. Thank you. Right? Why? Why? Why does that one evoke emotion more than the random dog? It shows love and care, right? Look at her face. Look at my face. Look at my logo. Look at, right? So you can see all of that put together, but all of that stuff comes last. The first thing you see is, oh my gosh, look at that adorable dog. and look at how happy her face is, right? And it's also more relatable. So again, very similar veins, folks. We're not talking about like, you don't need to be a professional to do this. Just look at which one is going to get that emotion going. All right. Good answers. Everybody can stay. Congratulations, Lauren. You don't have to kick anybody out. All right. Now let's go to a real life on the ground example. All right. So what else? One of my clients, I talk about them all the time if you've been in class, an incredible food rescue organization, a food bank in Montgomery County. Okay. They rescue and redistribute more than 16 million pounds of food per year, which is 300,000 pounds of food per week, averaging, sometimes more, to nearly 400,000 people across the state of Maryland. Okay. So I'm going to show you two sets of photos, and I want to think about, based on the sentence I just gave you, which photo set does a better job of capturing this. Okay. And these happen to be Getty images, but I see these exact photos all the time. All the time. Okay, that's the first set, right? Which set? Which set did it for you? Was it the random people handing a bag to someone else who I don't know who they are, right? Left feels sanitized, the right feels messy in a good way. Thank you for getting that. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? These are posed. The photos on the left, they're fine, they're good, they're professionally done. They don't give me any sense of the scale. They don't give me any sense of what does 300,000 pounds of food look like. Before I worked for So What Else, I had no concept of what 300,000 pounds of food looked like. Okay. When we're talking about how much lumber goes into a home in Habitat for Humanity, and if you give me a number, take a picture. That's way more impactful than saying, oh, it's 200 2x4s. Show us 200 2x4s, right? So, and again, stock images, we've all been there, right? But again, what is organic and what is real? Every person, by the way, in these photos is a volunteer. So going back to, hey, I'm a little bit worried. I don't want to expose people, right? Like people that we serve. Not a single client of So What Else is in any of these photos. You'll notice the picture of the vehicles that was a little bit earlier. That was to demonstrate, and we shared it with a caption. We did a federal a distribution exclusively for federal employees who were furloughed. We had 600 appointments in 6 hours. And the line was literally wrapped around the building. I can tell you that, but I'd much rather show you that the line was wrapped around the building. No license plates, no faces, no identifiable information. But you visually saw the impact of the words that I showed. That is what we're trying to go for. You want to marry those two things, all right? Let's talk about giving levels to guide our donors, okay? We always want to share what a gift can do. Now, let me sidebar just for a second. I put can in italics. Why? If you say will, there's a perception or potential for that donor to think that their gift is restricted to that thing. And we don't want to do that, okay? Because donor intent is one of the most important guideposts of the work that we do. We want to say can because we're painting a picture, we're illustrating a story. This is what something can provide, all right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it will provide that exact thing, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples. You want 3 to 5 giving levels. There's been a study done on, I think it was in the book Freakonomics. If anybody's not read that book, it's a really good one. It's an easy and fun read. When people go to the grocery store and they look at the cereal aisle or the jam or preserves aisle, have you ever walked into there and you're just totally overwhelmed because there are too many choices? Right? Just me? No, probably. Yeah, 100%, right? So people perform best. People can make decisions best when they have limited choices, but they have choices because nobody wants to be told what to do, right? But if I give you a menu of options, I'm still sort of telling you what to do, but you don't think I'm telling you what to do. Okay. And the other important thing, whether it's your donate page, whether it's Shore Gives 365, there's always an other option. Let people decide for themselves if they have to, but we want to give them a general idea. Shore Gives has 4, again, 3 to 5, and where possible, tie those amounts to a tangible income. All right. So here are some examples. Random. I made them up, truly. They're not tied to an organization. $25 can provide art supplies for one student for a class. Okay. $50 can cover a week of meals for a senior in our community. Notice the emotion, right? Hey, we need $50. Well, I don't know what $50 can do for you. You have to tell me what $50 can do for your organization, okay? $200, this is from someone else. $200 can provide nutritious meals for one person for an entire year. And in fact, this is what we do when this is a remit slip that we put in our direct mail, but same concept applies, right? Look how many choices I gave them, not that many. Okay, direct mail, you can put a little bit more. So we put 6. And we highlighted a couple of important ones where, hey, this can cover this for an entire year. This will cover this for an entire year. I cannot tell you how many $896 gifts we got because people want to send a kid to summer camp. So, oh, good. Do you want milk or water? This way they didn't pick soda. That's funny. That happens to me all the time. This explains a lot about who I am. Thank you for that. That's a good example in the chat. And just to show you that I literally live this is my fundraising page for my Special Olympics team. I'm part of a unified team. Our team name is Frozen Assets. My teammate picked that name out. And we're doing the Special Olympics Super Plunge next weekend. So send thoughts and prayers. We're plunging 24 times in 24 hours, once per hour, and we're raising money for it. So this is our team page. Look at what we've done. We've got a couple of paragraphs, right? This is what's the origin story of our team. And this was part of my Leadership Maryland class. So we have to provide a little bit of context. Right? Like, how do you know Michael? Well, here's how I know Michael. Okay. Link to the Super Plunge. This is what we did last year, right? We want to help make it even more successful. Here are just a few examples of what your support can provide. Okay. So we've provided examples at every single level. And you'll notice that I have a weird amount, $203. Supports one Special Olympics athlete in their sport. And that's the true number from Special Olympics. Don't be afraid to put weird numbers out there, folks, because weird numbers capture people's attention. $200, $203, going to be the same in terms of your return rate. If someone's going to give you $200, they're going to give you 203. It's not that they're not going to, oh, $3, it's a bridge too far, right? So if you can find real life examples in your organization of not round numbers, that's where people's eyes go. All right. So holler, Special Olympics, Super Plunge, Team Frozen Assets. Trust signals. We can boost our street cred a little bit. There are a lot of organizations on this chat that have been in existence for a really long time, or that are part of an affiliate that are international, right? Or national. That matters. Okay. And even if you're a newer organization or like, gosh, we've only been around for 4 years or 5 years, or we're brand new, right? I saw my Eastern Shore Health crew, right? You can still talk about how many people do you serve? What partnerships do you have? Who do you work with? The Eastern Shore is a small place. You know this, right? We all have to work together. So why not talk about those things? Having a 501c3 nonprofit status. Now that's required, I think. Is that required, Lauren, for Shore Gives? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
doesn't apply necessarily here, but gosh, candid.org, the seal of transparency, GuideStar, seal of transparency. Those things matter to some donors. And it's very, very easy. It's a very low bar to get a bronze or silver seal of transparency from each of those entities. Gold and platinum, it's a little bit more complex, but everybody on this call can be bronze or silver tomorrow, right? So how can we add that credibility and build that trust and say, so that when donors are looking for that badge or looking for that symbol, you don't have to do that work. That work's already been done for them through Candid and GuideStar, okay? Just be clear and transparent about the work that you're doing. Even if you don't have the longevity, talk about the work that you do and talk about the impact. Why use Shore Gives 365 year round? So Lauren sort of talked about this a little bit. I really want you to think about, obviously the Giving Tuesday Shore Gives, We all get that, right? We're all really busy on the platform, or we're really busy with our organizations for that one time of the year. Here's what I want to say about that. Giving Tuesday, I believe, was in its 14th year this past year. There's a lot of competition in that space. I think you can attest. How many emails did you personally get on Giving Tuesday? I stopped counting at like 48, truly. So I don't know, right? And because I'm overwhelmed, there's too many choices, I just opted out. So this is a year-round space for you to keep donors updated. Lauren mentioned the Community Foundation is constantly scanning this platform, looking for updates, looking for emergent needs. But I wanted to just sort of back out from that and share with you that this is a study, and I can pop the source in here. This was a study done where organizations had a major gift threshold of $25,000. Okay, so there's a really, really high one. Now, you don't have to have that. In fact, you don't need that. The number of major donors who are major donors to that organization whose first gift was less than $250 is 1 in 3. What does that tell us about a platform like SureGives or Giving Tuesday or our donate page? Okay, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a $25,000 online gift. Very unlikely. If you do get it, give me a call. Okay, but it's probably not going to happen. But you're going to get $100 gifts, you're going to get $50 gifts and $25 gifts. Your annual donors today are your major donors tomorrow. You've got to think about this as a relationship continuum. Okay, don't think about this as 2 or 3 separate things. Donors are donors all the way through. So think about this platform as a springboard, and just know the Community Foundation is a central repository for donors who get it, people who get it and want to give and care about making a difference. They're your captive audience. So be sure that you're keeping this up to date for them. You never know who's looking at your page. I probably looked at your page earlier. So, and you didn't know, you didn't send me there and you didn't know that I looked at it. Okay. Again, just to recap some like common mistakes, right? Like how do we fix that? Because I'm all about like, let's leave with some action items. I don't just want to tell you everything that's wrong and not give you a way to fix it. If you have too much text, that's okay. Cut it to 2 to 3 paragraphs. And again, what's the problem? What's your solution? And what's their call to action? Easy, easy fix. Everything that we've talked about today is an easy fix. All right. If there's no clear call to action, well, what does a call to action look like? Make a gift, help us meet the need. Donate supplies, right? The Humane Society also has a wish list of things, right? Bones and food and chew toys and all of that stuff. That can be a call to action as well. It doesn't have to be a financial gift. If your stuff is outdated images or statistics, and this is where everybody gets really caught up, right? When we're talking about fundraising, we're all so busy doing all of this other stuff, we forget to update our stats, okay? Guess what? New year, new us. Now is the time to be recapping and thinking about what was our impact in 2025. Now is the time, not in June, because in June, you're already halfway through 2026, right? So start to recap and think about how many people did we serve? How many pounds of food did we rescue? How many homes did we build? How many boxes of cookies did we sell? Whatever that number is, start to quantify that and make sure that you're updating those images and stats. If you only share your page once a year, that's fine, I suppose, but you could be getting a lot more mileage out of it if you share it on a regular basis. So feel free to link that. If that is your primary donate page, put it everywhere. Put it in your email signatures, put it in your social media posts, newsletters, or any other sort of digital assets that you might have. And a huge thing, again, I'll reinforce it. Don't assume donors know who you are. You just can't make that assumption. Rewrite that opening sentence so that we're capturing that 8.25 second attention span, or you're going to lose people. Okay. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to write down, based on everything we've talked about, what is one easy win that you can take with you out of this call? Just one easy win that you can update, whether it's on your SureGives page, website, or any other donate page. And if you feel so inclined, pop it in the chat. Update 2025 stats. That's great. Cool. New logo. Nice. Make sure you update it everywhere, Missy, because there's so many darn documents, right? Add your donate link to everything, always, 100%. Yep. Great. All good stuff, right? Make the wording more concise, less is more, 100%. Perfect. Boy, I feel really bad for all the people that didn't come onto this thing because you all are going to be way ahead of the game here. Lauren, don't send this to anyone that didn't come. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, we'll keep it to ourselves.
Just kidding. Yeah, the odd number impact really does work. ACT, it really does work. Very cool. Good. And by the way, look, everybody in your chat, your nonprofit colleagues across the Eastern Shore region, we're all dealing with the same stuff. We do different work, and it's all very important work, and it's distinct, but best practices are best practices, right? So don't forget about that as we're, working to collaborate. Something that's really neat about community foundations in general is that they are that sort of clearinghouse of people that care and people that get it. So use that to your advantage. This is not a competition. We're all on the same team. Again, we're just looking for alignment because not everybody wants to give it every single thing. We just want to find the people that want to give to what we're working on. Okay. We actually have more than we're done a little bit early, which I've never had that problem in my whole life. But we have some time for Q&A, so let's open it up. What questions do you have?
Lili,
Yeah.
can you, so I actually set up our site yesterday, completely coincidental that I like within minutes saw that you were having this today and was like, oh, how perfect. So when I set it up, I believe there's like a confirmation page of giving, and I included a picture in there and a nice little blurb. And then I realized that then you have the email receipt. So would you recommend, I was taken off guard and actually not prepared for two different ones. And I'm not a quick thinker. I have to sleep on it thinker. So I actually just copy and pasted part of the messages to have the kind of the same message and those two different screens. It's today, and now I regret doing that. So where would you recommend that we have the most text on there when we're thanking people?
Got it.
The immediate
Okay.
thank or the emailed receipt thank?
So first I want to say like the great thing about like I change language and I sleep on stuff and make changes every day of my life. So like you're doing it exactly right. If you're it's okay that you're like, all right, let me copy paste it. It's really not a problem. I guess a question for Lauren would be, can you help me understand, so you're talking about as soon as someone gives, there's a screen that pops up and then there's an email that goes after. Is that what you're saying, Crystal?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't overthink that. I think it's totally appropriate and fine to have both of those things. Because here's the thing. Look, I'm thinking about this in real time as someone who just came to your page. I feel good about it. I love me some Samoas. The Girl Scouts do great work in teaching girls how to be leaders, making a gift. I get the immediate thank you on the screen. It's a cool picture. I'm not reading that to memorize it, okay? I'm just not. So then when I get the email, not one person is going to go, oh my gosh, Crystal just copy pasted that confirmation that I read yesterday, right? They're really not going to think about it that way. If it's keeping you up at night, you can modify the language a little bit, right? But what's more important is that when people are getting that email, they're looking for their tax receipt. Okay. They're going to keep it in their records. They may open it, skim it, and file it away. Okay. The real thing that I want you all to think about moving forward, and that we don't have enough time to talk about it all today, but someone making a gift to your Shore Gives page is the beginning, not the end. So start to think more about, okay, this is great. Someone made a gift. They've got their thank you. They've got their official email for their tax records. Now what? Now, how do I keep that person engaged, right? When I'm sending them an email, what kind of updates might I have for them? This is where having statistics and photos and testimonials kind of at your fingertips becomes super valuable because you don't have to think about it every single time. You know that, okay, Shore Gives was in December, right? February, a little bit slower time, great time to go into your SureGives platform, pull an export of everybody that gave to you and send them a quick update. Put a couple photos, right? Put a couple captions in your photos, send them an email and say, hey, we just wanted to reach out, wish you a happy new year and let you know, give you an example of what your support has been able to provide for us or what we've been able to accomplish thanks to your support. You're not making an ask of them, you're just thanking them. So yeah, it is a good question, Crystal. I would not get wrapped up around that. I think you did it just right. And I think we want to focus more on, okay, great, we got that gift, we've optimized our page. What do we do now? How do we make sure that we're getting the next gift? Because donor retention is really, really important. It's a lot easier to keep a donor than to get a new one. Great question.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Lily. So I apologize. I am not connected with Shore Gives 365 but I saw this training and I saw Lily was the facilitator, so I had to jump on just to be a part of it because Lily's my girl and I love her.
You're the
But
best.
so just based off historically thinking, what do you say like organizations do unintentionally that lead donors not to give anymore? Like the work that we're doing is good, the rebuilding that we're doing is good, but the donors that have previously, contributed to our organization are no longer donating, and we want to bring them back. And how do we re-engage them?
Yep. That's a great question, Mel. Thank you. It's actually the $1 million question, literally, right? The number one reason, first of all, the number one reason people don't give is because they're not asked. But when we're talking about in terms of retention and making another gift, I just want to do a quick show of hands, okay? Who has that person in their life that when you get an email or you see their phone number pop up on your screen, you know that they only reached out to you because they want something? Show of hands. A lot of people, right? Most everybody. And if you didn't raise your hands because you're checking emails right now, because I know it. That is why. They might think, okay, I'm doing great work, but guess what? If the only time they hear from you is when you're hitting them up for money, that doesn't feel very good, does it? Right? Does it feel very good when someone only calls you when they want something? You don't be that organization for people. So this goes back to what we just talked about, that tip, right? What do we do in February or March? We don't just want people to hear from us when, oh, Shore Gives 365, Giving Tuesday is only 1 month away, 2 weeks away, 1 week away. We spend all of this time building that campaign out. And it's not a bad thing, but we do so sometimes to the detriment of what about the rest of the year? What about calling people just to say, hey, I have no reason to call you except to tell you that I'm really grateful for you. How good does that feel, right? So, Mel, I would say that's the easiest thing. That is truly the easiest thing to do that I think organizations miss out on. And it doesn't matter whether they're giving you $25 or $25,000. So, if you have time to call and, thank people, if you have a board that doesn't really like to ask people for money, but they don't mind calling and thanking people with absolutely no motive, give them a list of donors and have them call, right? And just say, hey, I just want to reach out and let you know that I'm really grateful for all of the work that you're doing. How's it going? Right?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. My ray of sunshine, the best.
We have
someone,
a couple questions in the chat.
Yeah. Someone asked, merchandise incentives and raffles. Cheryl, tell me what you mean by that. Do you mean like Shore Gives 365 specific, or do you mean using incentives to get people to give?
When I talked to Lauren about it, we had tried doing a campaign. I didn't really know what I was doing for a raffle we were having this summer. And that evidently is not something that the IRS allows. So just a little clarification on what is allowed. And Lauren also told me that if there is merchandise given for a donation, that then the person can't put that as a on their IRS.
Yeah, they can't
And-
take the full deduction.
Yeah,
Right.
Lily, and before you answer, Lily, I just want one clarifying point. The restrictions that we talked about are SureGive specific because there is only one tax acknowledgement it's a template and it can't be customized. So we can't add in that extra language, but go ahead.
Well, and that's relevant to SureGives 365, but Cheryl, it's a great question. And I do want to briefly touch on types of donors. And when we're talking about types of donors, so my mom, God bless her, she's the reason I got into philanthropy because she's just an earth angel. And if you've been in my class, you know this. If you send a piece of direct mail to my mom, whether you're a local, regional, or national, she will make a gift to you. And and I ask her to keep it all because I'm a fundraising nerd, right? So I'm like, save your mail, mom, so I can read it and know what people are doing. Well, you've got the St. Jude's of the world and the ASPCA's of the world. Karen said, what's her address? That's the right question, Karen. You have the ASPCA's and you have, hey, give us $25 and we'll send you a blanket, or give us $50 and we'll send you a hat, or whatever that may be, right? My mom doesn't do it for that reason, but a lot of people do it for that reason. And the retention rate of that donor is very low. So when I say that, I mean, they make one gift because you gave them something. They often don't give a second gift. Why? Because we have created a transactional relationship with that donor. Okay. We have said, if you give me one thing, I'll give you this thing. And it just doesn't yield a high retention rate. We want to inspire people to give because they care about the work that we're doing. There's also tax implications to that thing too. So when you give someone something, you're giving them the fair market value of that thing. So if the hat is $10 and they give you a $50 gift, they can actually only deduct $40. I'm really oversimplifying this. Okay. So it adds an element of transacting that doesn't ultimately help the organization in the long run. Folks think so, and the data just doesn't show that to us.
So for online fundraising, it would not be a good idea to do that on our link. We are a state park, and we do have merchandise that has Friends of Aztec State Park printed on it that we have available for people. Or they do a tie-dye Tuesday thing. And if people give to our organization, we will give them a white shirt for the tie-dye activity, that kind of thing. If they want to pay through the donate website, is that against any regulations? Like some people want to pay with Venmo or credit card, and we only take cash.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you're talking about sort of two different things. So one is, hey, we're selling stuff, which is fine. You can sell.
Well, we can't call it selling. It is merchandise for donation because we're a nonprofit.
Okay, got it. Okay, so but that's what's happening, right? Is
Exactly.
It's the hat is $25. The hat, whatever it is, the shirt's $20, whatever that may be. That is
a
very
donation for $25 and you receive this hat, which we paid less for. But yes.
Maybe we can talk offline about some nuance around that. But generally you creating, and I think what you're talking about is maybe a little bit, it's a unique situation, but creating kind of a you give me this and I'll give you that thing doesn't actually foster the type of long-term relationship building that we aspire to build with people, right? So we don't, again, it's not like I'm going down the street and buying a taco. Like that's fine. I give you $5, you give me a taco. Like we want something different from our donors. So.
But for Lauren, but it's not illegal to have a transaction like that if we let the donor know that they can't do a deduction for the full amount. Is that what we settled on, I think?
Well, if that's for me, yeah, I think actually maybe it's more of a question for Lily, really. It's okay. Is it okay if you give them, for me, it's really only about the SureGive site, and that there's just never going to be a way to make that work. But
if you don't, here's the answer to the question. If someone gives you $25 and you give them a hat, you have to provide them with a receipt that shows donation of $25 less
Okay.
the market value of the hat.
Okay.
So if you spent $15 on the hat, they can only deduct $10.
Okay. It happens so rarely that I think we can handle it that way. It's our
That's
big
the way
thing
to-
is the board wants us to sign up for a Venmo account. We don't have a phone, so we can't do that. We do have a PayPal account, but they want to expand it to what they like to use. This is my answer to the board is we can do this with the paperwork.
Yeah, per the IRS. Because again,
Okay.
here's what we don't want.
All right.
You
As
don't
far
want
as increasing donations, we'll do that online, and we've been pretty successful with that.
Great, no
this year.
question. Yeah, I would not lead with incentives as
Right. We don't
100%.
do that online because if we
I
do it
think the
online,
point
we
that I
have to
wanna make.
mail it to them.
Right. Well,
And we don't want to
again,
do
that's
that.
what people don't think about, right?
We're
Whose staff
small
time went into ordering the hat? What about the shipping? What about the admin?
Right. Exactly. So no online. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for your question. Anyone else? Rena, sorry, asked, can you give a brief tutorial on how to access the ShoreGives 365 page? Lauren, do you want to do that, or would you want me to hop on?
I mean, since you're already screen sharing, if you want to, it's just a matter of typing in shoregives365.org. But we're seeing your PowerPoint.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to just expose my thing to y'all. Come on now.
I get it.
All right. So I just typed in shoregives365.org, right? Kathy said, suggest you look at IRS regulations because they're very clear and specific. Thank you, Kathy. When in doubt, look at the IRS website. So here it is, ShoreGives 365, right? So here's how I sort of interact with it. And I don't know if the portal looks different for you all. I'm a donor, right? And I'm looking. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? I can scroll down here and I can go, oh, support your favorite causes. That's neat. They're sort of bucketized, okay? And then it shows me, what ShoreGives 365 is. Well, I don't have a favorite because I love animals and I love the environment. So I'm going to click Browse All, okay? So we have 108 organizations that are on the platform, which is fantastic, okay? Now, I, as a donor, get to look at this and go, okay, well, this is everyone. This is everyone. Now, I want to find the things that I kind of care about the most, right? Again, we're looking for alignment. So if I go down to the impact cause area, I can click or unclick any of those things, okay? Organization's location, if I'm really bound to a county, right? Now, if you serve all of them, your results will show up in all of them, okay? So if someone clicks Y Comico and you happen to serve all of them, you'll show up in all of those things, okay? Urgent needs, yes or no. That's what Lauren was talking about a little bit earlier. But let's just click on the first. I'm just going to click on the first one. You saw, there's no trickery here. I'm just clicking on the first thing. Okay. Maryland Coastal Bays, great organization. Okay. Maryland coastal bays are among the most ecologically important and fragile ecosystems. Every day we work to protect and restore these waters. Your support helps meet critical needs. Okay. So what would I change about this since nobody asked? And I love Maryland coastal bays, so I'll holler at them and say, I don't know what works to protect and restore these waters means, right? Like, how do I do that? And also, I know for a fact that Maryland coastal bays, like the amount of shoreline that they advocate for is an unbelievable number. Put that number right there, right? That is a top of mind number for them every day. But it's almost like for so many of us, we can't see the forest through the trees because we're so busy in the work, we forget like, oh gosh, that's a really cool stat. Okay. So then we go down giving activity, right? It shows activity. Here's our mission. All right. See, now we're down here, but look how far down I had to go to get to that. We're way past 8 seconds, right? What the needs are, what your support makes possible. What's your gut on this? How are you feeling as a donor as we're scrolling down this? Just holler. Is this enough or too much? Or not enough?
Someone said Karen said too much.
It's a lot, right? So again, what we just talked about, it's not that these things aren't important. It's just that I don't know what's most important. I don't have any idea what you want me to give to, okay? Media gallery looks good. Again, it's a stock shot, right? It's a stock shot. I'm okay with 1 or 2 because it's water and like we want some done photos, but everybody's eye, I can promise you, went over here to the kids, right? Put the kids first, put a couple more about the kids, put a couple more kids, right? And then summary, you keep going down. I'm just scrolling just so you guys can see. Here's the EIN number. Here's the impact cause area, really neatly, nicely done. So if we go to donate, pops up to the donate page. You can make it a one-time donation. You can make it a monthly donation. Y'all, do not sleep on monthly donations, okay? Have a campaign specifically for people giving monthly. I promise you, having consistent revenue is going to be an incredible thing for you, and it's a really low barrier ask, okay? So then we go down, again, 4 choices, very easy, and then other, right? I want to give 5,000. Don't worry, I'm not going to put my credit card information in. Okay, now, if they want to be anonymous, that's fine. You're going to know who they are, but they may not be listed publicly on the page, which is their prerogative entirely, all right? Do you want to dedicate your donation to somebody? Really cool opportunity. Memory of honor of somebody. Are you a first-time donor? That's an optional answer. They don't have to choose it. If they do choose it, and if your organization has back-end access to that, pick up the phone and call them. Thank you so much for giving. How did you find out about us? I see this is the first time that you've given to Habitat. What's the story, right? Build that relationship. Are you interested in volunteering? Great resource too. And then you go down and it's, what's my bank account method and credit card and PayPal, Venmo, all that stuff. I mean, every way that someone can give, short of firstborn. I don't see firstborn on the list, but pretty close, right? And that's it. That's it. And then they have an opportunity to cover the fees or not cover the fees, right? Does that help? So that you can kind of see the donor facing stuff?
Thank you, Lily.
Sure. We're
And
at time.
Crystal had her hand up. Do we have time?
I'm happy to stay on, but we're at time. So if you have another meeting to go to, thank you for joining us. This has been great. It's being recorded. You're going to get the recording and you're going to get my slides. Thank you, Kelly. But again, I'm here. So if anybody has any questions that they want to ask for the next few minutes, go for it.
Crystal, did you want to ask?
Yes, I noticed their goal bar was complete. Are we able to reset that, or does it reset automatically at certain times?
It's not going to reset automatically. You do have the ability to go in the back end and change that. So I'll be honest, I haven't gone in and done that myself, so I can't give you the details, but you do have access to that goal set.
And I know you can, because every organization's is different. So you can absolutely change your goal. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for those that are hopping off. Any other questions? Okay.
I think we're good. Thank you so much, Lily.
A pleasure as always. Thanks to everybody for joining. Enjoy lunchtime. It's about that time. And you will have my contact information. Give me a shout if you have any questions, you want to learn more, want to geek out about fundraising. I'm always game for that. So thanks for all the important work you're doing. Keep it up. It's hard for a lot of people right now, but just remember that one of my favorite quotes is from Mr. Rogers. And I don't know if it's kind of making the rounds lately, but it says, Mr. Rogers has a famous quote that says, my mother always used to tell me when I would see scary things in the news, my mother used to tell me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. So this is a room full of helpers, and thanks for being helpers, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Assateague Coastal Trust grew up on the same street as Mr. Rogers. That's like an amazing 2 truths and a lie. That's amazing. Awesome. Thanks, team.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah.